What's up? Aloha, guys. Welcome to another podcast, number 3 to be exact. Yesterday, or the last podcast, that was 2 days ago, I talked about how to become a better surf athlete. My opinions. These are things I experienced, things that I'm working on in order to become a better surf athlete. Information I've retained over a very long surf career, and also just being around some of the best athletes in the world, surf-wise. And so I talked about the importance of one of the things that I talked about in that podcast was the importance of surfboards. And I said something along the lines like, it's like having a bunch of tools and making sure that you have the right tool for the job. And I was referencing in the sense of surfboards. Now, this is another thing that is so important, is when I have traditional high-performance surfboards, I usually ride AM2s, all-Americ 2s. And the fins are same size on the sides, and then the back fin is slightly smaller. It's usually what most people are riding nowadays. Most professional surfers, just surfers in general, are using the AM2s. And those are kind of like my go-to fins, all right? And I'll use them on pretty much all my shortboards. I've gotten a lot of surfboards in the past 6 months. Like, I've probably gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 brand new shortboards, all ranging from different sizes, different types of surfboards, gravel boards, and whatever it is. And the one thing, I've had a few boards, and I talked with another shaper and a good friend of mine, Mark Puin. I get some boards from him as well. And I was riding some boards by him and also Eric Arakawa, and some of the boards felt just a little sticky, and I was using my AM2s, and I was like, what is going on? And I'm not one. It's crazy because to this day, I'm still competing. I've been, I'm always on that journey of becoming the best surfer I can be, become the best surf athlete I could be. And the one thing, even to this day, that I'm now starting to learn more so, the importance of, is fins. And I know you guys, some of you might be like, what? Of course. But fins make the biggest difference in your boards. You could literally be riding a board that just sucks. Like, it's just not feeling good, not feeling lively, feeling boggish, sluggish. You put it on a rail and it just feels like it's completely going in reverse. And sometimes you can't just switch out one set of fins. You got to switch out many, if you can, if you have the fins. Ask your friends. I'm sure you can even buy some off Facebook Market. If you have the financial backing, then it's really important to invest in fins, because you're spending close to $700 on a shortboard, right? And if you're not going to sell the board, it's probably best to invest in more fins, and fins aren't cheap either. So it's a hard thing. Surfing is an expensive hobby. But if you're passionate about it and it's something that you want to really dig into and get better at, it's really important. Boards are very important. Fins are very important. Just getting the right set of fins for your board can literally make a board from complete ass to just a magic board. And I've experienced that lately. Before, I used to write boards off. I'm not even kidding. If I got a board and, I put my special fins in, my good fins that I use for every board, and if that board didn't respond the way I, you know, am used to, what the certain key things that I'm looking for is, you know, when I put on a rail, is it accelerating? Is it responsive? Does it feel lively and loose? That's usually one thing. I can tell by like a nice, you know, a very like a quick pump down the face to coming off the top and engaging my rail. And if it holds a way through and I can come out of that turn compressed with speed and just feeling like I'm really putting it on edge, then I'm like, okay, this board, I can tell right off the back, like this board feels good. If I'm pumping and doing everything the same and I go to put on an edge and it just feels like a catchy, like I don't just make it initially off my first wave, but you know, after a few hours, even a couple days, even if it's feeling like sticky or not responsive or whatever, you'll just know like, fuck, this board feels like ass. Doesn't feel good. And I used to just like write the board off. I wouldn't even switch out fins. I wouldn't. I'd be like, I'm like, these fins are my go-to fins, and I put them on my other magic boards and they all work. And I expect the same, right? Sometimes with boards, it's like micro inches to a board, right? Like going from that back end to the quarter end of, or the middle of the board to that quarter part of the tail. And usually that quarter part of the tail is usually where the performance comes from, right? Kind of where your grip pad is, a little bit above the fins to the back end of the tail. And all those little things, maybe, I don't know what the adjustments, but just maybe changing out the fins just gives it those edges that it may make up for, maybe that you're not used to. And these are just experiences that I've been having. So I don't know. It could be different for everyone else, but I definitely think if you invest in a surfboard, and if you can, the fins that you aren't, the fins that you're using, if your board's just feeling unresponsive or sticky, I would say change your fins out. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, maybe 5 times. Try a bunch of fins before you write the board off, because you could find the right fins for that board, and just distributing your weight on that board, the pressure could just like, it all comes together. The fins, the board, if you find the right setup, it could just make the biggest difference. So that's one thing that has been huge for me lately. I've been switching out fins on boards that I didn't really like before, that I've had, and it's just like all of a sudden I'm like, it's like I'm entering this whole new world. I'm like, holy shit, this board actually feels really good. You know, and sometimes I've always noticed like on my 3rd try, it's usually like I'll switch out fins and I'll be like, oh my gosh, like these fins feel really good for this board. The frick? You would think I would. There's probably people who are beginner, intermediate, maybe not even really advanced, and they may know these things. But, you know, me, I would consider myself pretty experienced for the most part. And I'm like, even for me, I'm just like figuring these things out now, you know? I think it's hard because like when you ride a magic board, you have expectations of where your surfing could go, and you don't want to settle for anything less, right? So when you get a board, you invest money into it, and when you ride it for a couple days, even like a couple hours, you kind of expect the board to work. And if it's like, and you go to your go-to maneuvers, and if the board isn't responding the way you want it, you're just like, hit the road. And yeah, so one of the key things I've been finding lately is switching out fins, trying different fins, because it does make the biggest difference. And yeah, it's kind of a short one today, but that has been kind of on my mind, and I wanted to touch base on that, and I wanted to kind of look deeper into that. And obviously there's like templates of fins and all that kind of stuff. I'm not really knowledgeable on all that, the templates and how big it should be and how the concave when it goes in and this and that. So the one thing's, actually something I learned is the flexier the fins are, it's going to be better in like smaller high performance waves, obviously, and then the stiffer the fins are, I think it'll be better an overall bigger surf. And yeah, that's kind of what I want to touch base on today. And if you guys have any suggestions or opinions or questions, however I can answer those the best of my ability, I will. Okay, well, aloha, and I will touch back soon. I've been having fun with this, so cheers.